everyone. I'm Matt. I'm here with...
Hi, I'm Sam, or otherwise known as Tank224, and...
I'm Jamie. Yeah, you heard me on the channel before. Also known as Smooth Jazz.
So, yeah. We are here today. This is going to be a video mostly for any prospective or new players out there. Picking a contender in Alpha Clash is a challenge in of itself. There's so many different contenders that do so many different things. So this video is basically going to be an effort to kind of give you a little bit of guidance. We're not by any means going through, which contenders are the meta and which a current player should go for. This is going to be purely to help you get into the game and maybe give you a little nudge of which contender makes the most sense for you, so that you don't kind of sink all your time and money into one and then find that it's not what you thought it was. So see if you
speculative, purely opinions.
Yeah.
Just see how we get on.
Try and give some new people.
So we're going to try and get through them all in one video, but we respect your time, so we'll see how it goes and see if we need to make a part 2. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So without further ado,
let's get underway and see how we see how far we get along when we're doing it, and we'll find out from there.
First.
Are you wanting to do them in any specific order, or are you just going to do it from top to bottom?
Just do them as they appear on the side here. Makes it easy.
Cool.
So first off, we've got Clarity, Ageless Defender.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean this one's got the most lore behind it. So cool factor. She's up there. She has a lot of support, a lot of Clarity cards out there.
I think
currently,
she's also quite generic. She's got a lot of cards that just work in a deck that's used for her. It's not like you don't need to have anything specific when you're playing Clarity. We've seen several Clarity decks come out where the people have found weird, wacky, and wonderful ways to just make the deck work without.
Yeah, very, very versatile. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And there's 2 versions of her as well. There's the one on screen, and I imagine we'll cover the other one a little bit later. It's a bit more complicated, but yeah, because of that, there's just so many actual Clarity cards as well that it just makes her really versatile.
What are we all thinking? Because I'm thinking she's pretty versatile. She's nice and easy to use. This one. This one's the standard version, isn't it? This one, not the one.
It's not flippy. I don't think.
This one's
the OG set one.
Is probably the easier one to play, the easier one to work out how she works. She's just quite generic. I'd put especially the ease of use. She's definitely towards the top of the list.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
White is.
I think her contender ability not hard to understand. You get into just check your top 2 cards and decide which ones you want to keep. It's really simple.
What are we thinking?
I would say A. She's good, but she's not. Oh no, maybe S. Because she is.
I think S is going to be reserved for the ones that I wouldn't.
Yeah, because I don't think she necessarily performs too well.
She's not a
to that extent.
Meta contender.
I'd say A or B personally.
That's where I'm looming. It's basically more whether you want it to be an A or a B. I'm thinking A just for, like I say, versatility and ease of use. She's just like one of the more generic.
Yeah, really good option for beginners. So I'm happy with an A.
Yeah, A.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, I think that's a good solid choice.
Now the next one is an interesting one because it's Magnate Awakened, which is the 30 health one, which buffs alpha cards +1 defense, and that is.
See, I would say for a starter deck, I think this is probably one of the best.
I mean, it is.
I think the fact that alpha cards just get a defense and it doesn't matter what alpha card it is. As a starting point goes, I've always said that I think Magnate is one of the strongest ones. If you were brand new to this game, didn't know how it worked, came into it with limited knowledge and was like, I want to try and build just a generically good deck, I think Magnate is probably one of the avenues that you'd go down. I think that's where you'd be pushed towards. Like, yeah, Magnate is just generally good. Like it's easy to get your head around, and just nice and simple, really.
You don't necessarily need the high expensive cards and epics to have a good.
Yeah, I think it definitely helps that like he's part of you can get your Clash kits.
Yeah,
they're quite a good intro to the game where you just get 2 ready-made decks of 2 different contenders, and he's one of them. So accessibility and everything's there too. He's
you don't need to go
a good level.
Different packs and stuff to get a deck that you could literally just get the standard starter deck and play with it, and it works.
There's also something about like just a base like aggressive deck is quite easy to use in Alpha Clash because there's no messed up mechanics where you're trying to like manage several different like tokens.
Yeah, there's not a lot of micromanaging going on, which makes it a lot easier. It's just a nice flat solid buff that you just have, and that's that. So I mean I don't know about you two. I'm tempted to go the same. I'm tempted to go A. I think especially for a starter player, like it's just a good solid choice.
I'd go S just because it is the standard that people tend to go for is a Magnate starter. But
I don't know. I'm hesitant with S. I'm hesitant.
I mean, I have to go.
I would say there's going to be. I think there's a couple of contenders. I've got a couple in mind that I reckon would probably be on the S tier.
We can move stuff around at the end.
But I'd say for now, I'd say A for now. I think A is a good solid choice as to where that Magnate should go. It's just nice and easy to use, and it's a lot of fun.
Fair enough. There we go. Right. Oh, this is Sam's favourite contender. That he's
so I did try to make a Windhoof deck, and I'm not gonna lie, it was one of the more challenging that I'm still trying to find a way of making him work. I think he's got some good options. There's a lot of good cards in there that are quite fun to use, but I think he just I think he needs a bit more support, and he just struggles. Everything about him.
Yeah.
I
think
would put him
is that
towards the bottom.
like when you play an activate an arrow card, but there just isn't enough arrow cards to focus a contender on.
I think it struggles from being a relatively new contender where there's not a lot of those cards that have been added. Obviously, it's only just been added. So maybe there's going to be more arrow cards later
factor on. He's really he's a cool looking contender. He's got really cool cards. I like the look of him. I think that there is some surprise factor to him because no one expects you to play him, which will then might throw a few people off. But especially towards newer players, it requires too many specific cards to make it work.
He has got a couple of good big epic cards though that were released.
Oh yeah, he's got some strong cards. But no, especially like I say, especially towards newer players, if you're looking at it as in trying to get into this game, he's because you need very specific cards to make it.
And it's a bit of, there's something else with this set that got released as well. As you can see, his symbol at the top right, which means you can only use certain cards with his deck as well.
Yeah, quite limited. I'm always hesitant with a contender that isn't 30 health as well. I think having less starting health, it's a trade-off. Yeah. And with Windhoof, I don't feel like the trade-off is there.
There's a couple
to make it worth
you lose the benefit of extra health while not gaining a lot from playing it.
There's a couple of other contenders that suffer from that as well. We'll get to later.
What are we thinking? I'm leaning towards C, maybe even D.
I think C, but I've got a feeling we might even drop that. To be honest,
I'd go C just because he is a good contender. It's just hard to make him good.
I think when used well, I think he will have some. Someone will find a way of making a deck out there that just works, and he just will destroy everyone. But it's just too complicated to be able to make work. The deck building aspect of him is really hard to do, and the ideas behind him, especially for newer players, is just I'd put him in C. I think C is a nice solid choice for him.
Yeah, consensus on C.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, my favourite one next.
I'll let you take the lead on this one, seeing as this one's your boy.
Thragor. All right, this guy, he's been my contender for the last, well, since he's been released, which is what, like back end of last year-ish.
Yeah, I think about it. Yeah,
he is a good aggressive card. He is like, he dominates the board in the early rounds just because of the low cost cards you can have in his deck. His main issue is the diminish. Is sometimes it can mess you over. It can get rid of something that you've been waiting for ages, as in the card called Bronze Bracer Shield, which is basically a card that you can engage and it gives you a contender +1/+1. But it's a good. I'd say it's not too hard of a deck to use. To be fair, it's not, because like I say, an aggressive deck isn't too hard.
Yeah, I think it is decently geared towards newer players. In fairness, the negation of damage is a nice flat solid perk. At higher levels, it's as we found out, it's not easy, but it can be negated to a certain degree. But if you were just playing if you just come into this game and you're just playing it as a standard, I'd say he's a very good contender to go with. He's just nice and strong. Again, the negation's just a flat, solid.
The fact he can
help to you.
He can negate health as well as having 30 health. Negate damage and having 30 health. It is a big factor because it's like you might not take damage for the first 3 turns.
It just sort of matches who he is as well, like what he looks like. He is just a big Brutus of a guy, you know. Yeah. He seems to have been a bit of an upgrade from Lord Krung, really.
No,
who you also have a lot of experience playing with. Yeah, like Krung seems to have been kind of pushed aside in favour of Thragor, for sure.
We'll get to Krung later. But
it's a bit of I would be tempted to put this one between A and B. But I'm not 100% sure.
I'd push for A just because it is.
Yeah, I'm happy with A. I think I'm conscious of putting too many things in A, but yeah, I think he belongs there.
But I'd like to put him A, just because.
Yeah.
I think he is a good solid choice. He's got a lot of cards that work well with him. And I think his effect does just work well.
He's also one of the few contenders where you don't need a big bad card to win. Like, he's got his legendary, but he's
just generically strong on his own without.
No big long term, long game tactics or anything. Not a lot of hoops. It's just a good, strong. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy with A.
Right. Oh, I'll let you take this one, Sam, seeing as you've made the most successful.
Yeah, Mean Streak.
We did a draft session at the Leaky Teacup in Retford. We managed to. I built a Mean Streak deck when we did the draft session. I think it went really, really well. I didn't come first, but as far as just the general deck building aspect went, I'd like to say that it went all right. And Mean Streak's interesting. I think. More because of the fact that he's got more fiddly mechanics. Yeah. I think it's quite easy to make a deck that works. But I think because of the fiddliness of his mechanics of adapting to streak counters, of knowing when to use them, when to move them around, when to do certain tactics. I'd like to say that us three here are probably some UK wise are some of the more veteran players of the UK. And even when I touched Mean Streak for the first time, I used some of his streak counters wrong, and I'd moved them too soon. And it's very timing specific with Mean Streak, which means I don't think it's necessarily a strong starting contender. I think this is a contender that you look at. He's really good. He works really well. But I think it's more of a second contender. It's something once you've settled into the game, once you've got to a point where you're like, no, I'm happy with this now. I want to go and try something different. I think Mean Streak's very strong. I think he's got a lot of really good cards that work really well for him. I think, but tactically wise and actually trying to make him work, I would say that it's probably not going to be a first deck pick. So I would be tempted to put him into B just for the sake of that. I think he's very strong. I think he will surprise quite a few people when he's played. But I think as far as being friendly to new players, he is quite tactically demanding as to how to play him and how to use his effects properly. that'd be where I'd put him. I don't know whether you two have got anything else to say about that. Whether you think
I'd be going for a C personally, just because he is a bit of a micromanaging
I
one.
think-
But B, I'm
I
happy.
think
with.
B or C for sure. I think he's a good second deck. Like I think that's probably the best way of describing it.
him having the abilities of super speed is one of the
Is
stronger
powerful,
effects
yeah.
in this game. And when you can build a mean streak deck really well, I think that it just works, and it can get behind a lot of people's defenses. But again, it's not necessarily the most viable deck as a first option, is what I would say. So, like I say, I'm saying B. If you guys are preferring to put it down towards C, but I don't think he's as weak as Windhoof. I think if he's going into C, I think Windhoof needs to go down to D.
Yeah, I think I agree actually.
B.
Yeah.
A Clash kit, I believe.
He
I
does,
think
yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's another
Yeah,
one
he
you can
does.
just pick up and play.
That's
So
what I think.
personally, I think there's not really a downside to playing him as one of your first contenders. I
No.
would put him in S.
It's also
Yeah, I agree.
It's definitely one of the easiest ones to build a deck with, because I mean, like we were doing that thing on Deck Planet where we're building contenders decks, sorry, and I made his deck in 5 minutes, and it was still a pretty good deck.
and it held its own, and it still did everything it needed to
Plus,
do.
it seems in future sets he does seem to be getting more support
yeah.
as well.
I mean, in the
It
latest,
still gets fairly steady support in as far as I'm aware. Pretty much every set that's been out has provided some level of support for war.
The last one added more of his Arison cards, didn't they?
which is debatably a go-to card now for a war deck, just because it's so good for a minion engine, for getting them out and playing them. So yeah, S tier.
Yeah, definitely.
Solid S, I would say.
Right. Talk.
Ooh, this is probably potentially another S.
Potentially.
He's a tricky one, because I would be leaning towards the idea of putting him into S as well, just because of how popular he is.
He's popular and he is good.
He ran the meta for a very long period of time, and he still sees very, very heavy use because of the fact that his draw power is just next level, and the abilities that work with his deck are just phenomenal.
I mean,
but as a first-time deck, I'm not sure whether he'd be the easiest to play at all.
Last league,
that's where he drops for this tier list in particular. I think that's his downfall, is he's not necessarily new user friendly.
He's everything that I would say about Mean Streak, but better. He is a solid second deck choice where people would play the game for a little bit, pick up some strategies, find Talk, and just make him work. And when he works, he just works. He's just a machine, and he just keeps going through, and he keeps hitting harder and harder and harder. And it is very difficult to get around how he plays. And we saw it in the very first league in our very first league, where one of our own nefarious broadcaster, he came first using a Talk deck that no one could find the answer to.
Did he ever?
I think he also won the first Awakening tournament with it as well.
Yeah.
For Europe as well.
So a very strong choice, very strong contender. I think the only bit that lacks him a little bit is that he's harder to play when you first pick the game up.
Yeah, just understanding that non-clash damage and the enrage and that sort of thing.
Takes a bit of knowledge on what you need and how to play it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I would put him in A tier. I think I'd love to put him in S. I think he's just really strong. Everyone knows, like, a lot of the higher ranking players will use him because of how strong he is. But if you're just picking the game up from the very first time and you're not sure what to go with, I think he's just a little bit tougher of a contender to actually play.
Yeah, I think I'm still inclined for S. I feel like we might end up moving him, but A sounds good to me.
If you're wanting to go S to begin with, and we'll see how he stacks up at the end if you want to do any move arounds.
I'd say A for now, but potentially to move.
Like I say, I'm thinking A. I'm thinking he's just for that starter friendliness, he's just a bit harder.
This is an interesting one. Major Dean leading the elite.
Now this is a contender that I personally love. I love the way that his effects work. I love the way that he plays, but he is nowhere near friendly to new players.
No,
I'm still trying to make him work. I'm still trying to get. I would go straight ahead with a strong thing and put him straight into C. If you can make him work, you can make him work. It's the same with Windhoof. He's got more support than Windhoof because he's been out longer. He's got more cards. There's more things that work with him. He's more versatile than Windhoof is. Windhoof is very limiting.
Was it Major Dean that no profanity from Clash of Teacups tried to use in the last league, and it was just
no, that was Weber.
Was that Weber?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, Major Dean is he's got good support. There's a few cards there that work with him, but if you're trying to pick the game up for the first time, he's not the contender to go with. I would put him straight into C class. In my opinion,
I'd say D personally.
I think I'd like to put him into D, but he's not worse than Windhoof. If we put him into D, Windhoof has to go into D. Windhoof is a harder contender to play.
I think I'm happy to do that, to be honest.
Just because of the support for him. Major Dean has more cards and he's more versatile than Windhoof is.
But I'd like to say, because Windhoof, what is he? Is he a rogue or is he an alpha?
Like rogue.
No, he's an alpha.
Alpha, right. Which is what I'm saying. Like, the alphas, realistically, have quite a lot of support. Even not just Windhoof cards, but alphas. Whereas alpha hunters are quite a harder type of card to play. If you know what I mean, there's not
alpha hunters fall back in their draw power more than anything else.
Should we go C then?
I would put him on, but whatever you do with Windhoof, I would put him on par with Windhoof. Personally, is where I would say that he would go. So whether you want to drop them both down to D, and do it that way, or whether you want to put them into C.
You both said C. We'll put them in C, and then we can drop them down later. Now this is the other mean streak, the 25 health mean streak.
I've got basically zilch experience with this guy, other than that he is in the Clash kit with Machina, so quite an easy one to pick up. Gives kind of a basic understanding of the streak counters, and that sort of thing.
I think of the two mean streaks, I think because of the fact he's got a Clash kit, and two, just because of the generic buff that you get at 15 health, I would say he's probably an easier contender to pick up than the original mean streak. But having 5 less health and he's got his own downsides to him. And I would be just quite happily just to put him on exactly the same pairing as the other one. Yeah. Both mean streaks are just quite hard to use with the fact that the other one gets draw power, this one gets more of a generic buff, but they're both, it's like the streak counters are just quite hard to know when to use, know what to do with them.
It also looks like it's a lot easier to get the streak engine running as well.
Yeah, this one's easier to get streak counters on the board. I would say out of the two, this one is the easier one to play as a newer player. But I don't think he's good enough to put him higher than the other one. I would say that they both just sit.
Yeah, it's easier with the trade-off, so yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, this one might actually have to be you, Matt, for the first one, I think. You're the specialist. You played him in the draft.
Not really. Yeah, I attended the draft and happened to pick this guy. To be honest, I did that badly that I don't have a huge understanding of the guy. It's very weapons focused. The newer sets have brought out this temper functionality, which seems fairly simple, to be honest. It just makes weapons slightly better, or cards with weapons attached slightly better. Yeah, it's a fairly... Fangyan cards are really good. Like, the actual Fangyan cards that are out there are really, really good. And they're quite versatile because they don't necessarily have to be in a Fangyan deck. But... Sorry if you can hear my kids screaming in the background. Promise they're alive. Yeah, I don't know. I love the dragons in this game. Like, the dragon cards themselves are really good. But the contenders let me down a bit. So I'm not really inclined to put this guy very high up, but his cards are really good. But in terms of new user friendliness, I'd probably steer clear, to be really honest.
Yeah, I was thinking the same sort of thing, somewhere between sort of B and C, in the sense of is quite difficult to use. His cards generically are quite strong. but I don't think they're necessarily very very user friendly. They're not. They're not. This wouldn't be a deck that you'd pick up and just know how to use. It wouldn't be something you go in straight away.
It's got that sort of the new ability of tempering, which is always not new player friendly. Like new abilities don't tend to be. Sort of thing.
He'll probably get better as time goes on, and there's more ideas with tempering weapons, and it might be a lot easier to play toward in that sense. But I think at the moment that's where I'd put him between B and C. So I'm not sure what your thoughts are as to whether B would be one to go in, whether C would be one to go in. That'd probably be
personally. I'm a C.
Well,
C?
Seeing as you've got the most experience, we'll go with you because I'm happy with the C.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
All right. Machina Savage Striker.
Now he's interesting.
Yeah.
Because we've seen. I mean, we've just been playing. Well, Matt here was playing the online league and has just been against a Machina deck. It can be quite strong, but it takes a lot of refinement to get it to that point. And the moment he was errated to remove the using Nova tokens,
you can't use non-clash.
As his main effect.
Basically, yeah.
It limited his capabilities by quite a lot. And again, I think this is just one of those decks where it is just very, very, very difficult to play from the get-go. I'd instantly put him into C tier with the others. He's quite cool. He's got some really cool cards. There's a lot of, again, he does have a clash kit, so again, it's another one you could just pick up and play out the box. But his effects, the way that he works, and the way he's just difficult to understand.
Yeah,
and that'd be where I'd put him into C.
Yeah. Another thing is he obviously has the clash kit, but from my experience of when this deck does work, absolutely none of the cards in the deck that beat me in the online league are in that clash kit.
Yeah.
Like in terms of actual Machina cards, that they're not really that.
Do you not get the one
that good, to be honest?
In the clash kit?
Nope. Yeah.
Fair enough. Right.
So Contender himself, somewhat okay, but
C or C?
Yeah.
I would say C. I'm not sure about
Yeah.
C, but I would say C.
I agree. Yeah.
One of the harder ones to definitely get used to. Right. Have any of us used this?
I've been looking
Master
into
Zeph?
him.
Zephyr?
He's not one that I've used. However, I think he's quite challenging to. He's a bit of a difficult one, this one, because I think he's quite challenging to make work. But I think as far as new user-friendly decks go, I think he's probably one of the higher ones, because again, he just has a nice, solid, easy effect that is just a flat out. You could make a Master Zeph deck with any cards in it, and his effect will still go off. Because it's when his contender takes damage for the first time, you may engage a clash card. Yeah. That is it. So as far as user friendly goes, I would say his effect is just easy to understand, easy to play. You could put any cards in this deck, and it won't hinder his contender abilities at all. So you can be really, really versatile with this deck. I'd be tempted to put it towards B or A, just based off of the fact that, as far as user friendliness is concerned, he's probably one of the easiest contenders to just pick up and play with. You could put
I think starting on 20 health though is a big downside. I think
but
he gets the one defense.
Plus, White has got a lot of Healy stuff, so it's
true.
Not a massive downfall for being on 20 health. I
think B or A.
I'd go B.
Like I say, he's not the strongest contender in the world, but easy to use. You could get him and you could just play him.
Middle of the board.
And whatever you want in there.
I think maybe A then.
Work and yeah.
You go an A? I'm still sticking with B for myself, but if you two say A, we'll go with A.
Yeah, we might end up moving it around.
Yeah, I think A. I think like I say, for user friendliness, he's just good.
Well, I have an opinion on this straight away. And that is D. Iron Piston is a very interesting one because he's a lot about diminishing your own cards. And using
the payoff's really good.
It is,
but you've got to understand the
it's
intricate parts of the game, and
it's quite a complicated one. Plus, I feel like if you don't have the, is it a legendary or is it epic for the Iron Piston?
It's the legendary, I believe.
Legendary,
I think it's a mech suit.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think
there's one very specific card that he needs to work, basically.
From
what we've seen, there's one card that makes him strong. If you don't have that card, which is already a difficult card to obtain, the deck just peters out, and it's already one that is really hard to get your head around and understand. So I'm quite happy to just stick him straight into D. I think as far as a new user goes, as far as someone who's picking this game up for the first time, it is going to be one of the hardest contenders for you to build. You need to have very, very specific cards. You need to have that card, which I believe is a legendary, to make the deck. I mean, you could still pick it up, play it, and still probably enjoy it. And there's still probably, but it'd be one that a lot of people would say exactly the same thing. Avoid until later on in the game. If you manage to get the cards that you need for him, cool. If you like the look of him, cool. But if you're trying to learn the game and trying to get into it, he's not the one to go with.
Right. D. Anzudak, another new contender, and another interestingly, I'd say difficult to play, because again, it's got a new effect that came with AC6, which is Wrath.
He's a strange one because I think his effects are actually quite, I don't want to say basic, but they're quite easy to understand.
Yeah.
But he's harder to play.
He has got some good generic cards.
He's got some really good generic cards. He's probably one of the coolest looking contenders that I think. He's just anyone that's intrigued about picking up this game. If you knew nothing about this game whatsoever and you saw Anzudak, you'd be immediately drawn to him just because of how cool he is. I'd be willing to put him towards B. I think B's just a nice solid place where he'd live. I think his effects work and they work decently well. I think that he is one of the harder ones to build, but I think he's one of the ones that would draw more people towards it, and his cards are generically decent. So, as well as the mean streaks, that's where I'd put him. I'd put him in B. I don't know about yourselves, but I think I agree. He's an easier contender to pick up than something like Windhoof, than something like Major Dean. He's got more generic cards that just work better for him, and he looks cooler, and he's got more of the flair for the effect for him. And yeah, I just feel B's where he belongs.
Yeah, the dragon type cards are really good as well. What you see a lot of is a lot of this crossing over with Fangyin cards, because the Fangyin contender compared to Anzadak just doesn't really come close. So yeah, I'm inclined to agree.
Yeah, B.
Yeah, happy with that.
This is an interesting one. We're gonna compare. We're gonna do. This is something else. If we scroll down,
are you gonna have to grab both of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk about them as in this, but then there's the other. When we get to the white side of Shadowlight, we'll grab him, because this is a flippy contender, so automatically not a new player friend.
Yeah, loses points for sure.
I think Shadowlight's cards, as in generically, aren't too bad.
No, yeah.
I think that the cards themselves are quite easy to understand and quite easy to use. I think it's the contender himself that just drags Shadowlight into the realm of being a more difficult one to play.
He starts on his white side, but the thing is, you can flip. You can do pay a black, I believe, resource to flip him over to his black side. He gets a defense, but I believe at the start of your turn, this contender loses 1 health. So he has a bit more defense, but you do just lose a health every turn. So you've got.
He's also one of the only contenders that I would say forces you to multicolor.
Yeah.
Because you have to play black and white. I mean, you don't have to, but you kind of do to play black and white to make him work. And I think especially towards, right at the very beginning of playing this game, most of my decks were all monocolor. I made a deck and it was all white, or it was all blue, or it was all green, or whatever it was. It just made the game simpler. And I think that Shadowlight forcing you to essentially play black and white, and then have the different cards from, I'd put him down towards C. I don't think he's as bad to use as the Steampunk Defender as Iron Piston. I think because his cards are just generically okay cards that have generic effects, I think he's stronger than Iron Piston as a starting contender. But I wouldn't put him any higher than that. I'd put him at C. But if you guys have a different opinion, then
No, I think I agree. I mean, I'm thinking of making this my next contender. In probably next year, to be fair, because I'm a masochist. But he just too many loops, really not user friendly.
What about you, Jamie? You seem to. Did you want to put him into D by chance?
D. He's too complicated of a contender. I'd like to say I don't. He's got some good cards, but there's nothing too redeeming. He's not got anything too powerful. Like, fair enough if you can get. There's a card that he's got which has got the Healy ability.
The recovering one.
Where it gives us when you do damage.
I mean, if you're wanting to put him into D, I'm quite happy with that. At the end of the day, you've played him more than we have. I think his cards are quite generic. I would say that if he is in D, he's still a better choice than
we can move him about in D.
Than Iron Piston.
If I play D, look, we can move him up.
Yeah, I'd say he's still a better choice than Iron Piston, but I'm happy with D. So if you want to go and grab wherever his other side is, if you can, or we'll just get to it when we get to it.
There we go. All right, spoilers for ahead, I suppose. The next one, I suppose that's probably.
Well, the next one you're taking the lead on because it's
Cowling. Yeah, this is. I mean, it's it's the first deck I tried to make by myself, and I'd like to say there's a reason why I left the deck behind. As a new player, it's not the easiest to use. Is because you've got a lot of micromanaging of weapons attaching to certain cards, and that then triggering their abilities. And also his main ability that you get is very, very specific against realistically, there's not many people that have ambush cards. The only real contender, especially when this came out, the only real contender that had ambush cards was Lord Krung. I think there's only two actual contenders at the minute that only have ambush cards, right? It's,
because there's Shadow Blade as well
and
ambush. But
so it's not really too effective. I mean, it's useful just to flip over. Like, if someone's got a trap, you can have a look. But the actual main ability to return it to its owner's hand never really triggers. The other ability where it's like you can attach a weapon and ready up a clash card. That is a really good ability, to be fair, but again, it's not new player friendly. Like, unless
so
you
where are you leaning? What are you thinking?
I'd probably go C or B. Probably B, to be fair, because it is good.
B's where I was thinking. I think he's like Mean Streak. He's a good solid contender when he works. I think he's a lot easier to make work than some of the other contenders that's down towards the bottom of the list. He's not user friendly. He's not something that you'd pick up and just play immediately. So I would be inclined to agree with you there and say B. I don't think he deserves to be in a C tier. I don't think he's that bad to be down there. But again, he's like, in my opinion, he's like Mean Streak. He requires a lot of finesse to allow him to work properly. And while that finesse is easier to obtain than something like Shadow Light or something like Iron Piston, I'd say B. Matt, any thoughts?
No, yeah, I agree. I've been against this contender plenty with Jamie using it when we're doing our deck testing and that sort of thing, and I'm going to agree. It's a decent, solid enough deck, but yeah, too many hoops if you want to get it to be really, really good, sort of thing. 25 health, not too big an issue. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, solid B.
There we go. All right, the next one is an interesting one, actually. Moxie, the red Moxie, 25.
This is where we could do with Fraser.
Yeah.
Yeah, Moxie's. I think the black Moxie is probably the more popular of the two. I think
it's also more easily accessible because there is a Clash kit out there with the black variant of Moxie. The red variant seems to have a lot more specific cards that's required for it. It's also got less health than the other one, and its effects are harder to understand. So out of the two, I would straight away be saying B tier, maybe even C, but I'm not 100% sure. I think B would be a solid place to put it. I don't think it's necessarily the hardest contender in the world to use. I don't think it's necessarily the worst of the alpha hunters to pick up and play straight away. Being able to create badge weapons is just basically a standard ability that it's got. Fortitude is a really good effect that it's got on it, but harder to understand, but not as hard as Major Dean with the whole flipping the portal backwards and forwards and use. So I would say B. B's just a nice solid place for it. I think.
I made a red Moxie the other week, didn't I? And it actually did pretty well, to be fair. It's not a hard one to make, but again, I didn't make a.
It's a harder one to understand.
I didn't make a mono red though. I made a red black, which is again means it's not new player friendly because you don't want to be mixing colours.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you're using a red Moxie and you're only sticking with red cards, I think you will have a bit of a tough time. I think with Moxie, naturally, you need to go red-black more than likely. So yeah. I think probably B.
I say B's where I think it's towards the lower end of B or towards the top end of C, but I think it should stay in B. I think B is just a solid choice for where it should go. It's not the best, it's not the worst, it's not the hardest, but it's not the easiest. It's just average and
B it is. Oh, there you go, Sam. You can take this one away.
See, this one's intriguing. I think Genesis generally is one of the stronger contenders. I think once you understand his abilities, he is very strong, very fun to play, very different. The only contender that has an effect where you can really pull stuff. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is the only contender with an effect where you can pull anything out of your resource zone. Which does make micromanaging a bit more of a thing. So he's a very strong, very tough contender, and I think playing him is a lot of fun. But user-friendly and new player-friendly, I'm not convinced, because he requires a lot of micromanaging. If you're going a single colour, I think actually, in fairness, if you were building him as just a fully blue deck, I think the micromanaging's not as bad. So I think generally as a new player deck, because a new player would probably go towards the idea of making it a mono blue deck, I would actually be tempted to put him into A tier. He's not an S by any means necessary. He still requires a bit of finesse to make him work. But I think generally, if you were building a deck and just building him as a blue deck and just playing him, I think he'd be a lot of fun to play. His effects are really, really cool. His cards are really cool. He's just a generically all-round good contender. Yeah, he's a little bit more challenging than some of the other A tiers that's on there. But I think, especially looking at it from a new player perspective, of you would build a full blue deck, you would be playing with a full blue deck, his effects become easier. It takes that micromanaging of taking different colours and working a few different bits out away and makes it a bit simpler. So
one of the best legendaries out there as well.
Yes,
like,
very generic.
Even without using Genesis, like most people, if they're using blue, having the Genesis legendary is likely the one they're picking.
So really good. I'd be tempted to put him into A. I think his effects really, really work. I think he's interesting to use. I think he's a little bit different. I think he's quirky. He's got his own little problems and he's got his own little things. But I think, weirdly, from a new player perspective, I think he's not actually that bad. Especially if, like I say, if you were going to build a full mono blue deck, I think he'd actually work decently well. So I'd be tempted to put him into A. I think towards the lower end of A, but I think A nonetheless. Unless either of you have a different view.
I think A is perfect, personally. Yeah.
Decently strong, decently all well-rounded, a little bit harder to use, but still you could build a moderately decent Genesis deck and have fun while playing it. And I think that's one of the best parts about it.
A it is. Magnate, This is the
Okay.
25 health magnate. Now, I don't think any of us have actually used this overwave in a deck, but we've seen it be used by Fraser.
Yeah, I think so. I've been against it with no profanity from the Clashing Teacups team.
Yes, he does use that. Yeah.
It was in the league, the second Clashing Teacups league. It's one of those contenders where your tactic is probably going to be to kind of boost your contender and attack with him a lot.
Yeah.
I think, is he the only one with 2 attack, or is there more?
He's
the only one with a standard base 2 attack, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Others can get more, but he is the only one that standardly comes with 2 attack.
Yeah. I think there's Black Clarity actually as well, but too many hoops with that one. But in terms of, just its base, no flipping or anything like that, 2 attack is pretty good. 25 health isn't too bad either. I like this one more than the original Magnate, to be honest. Big fan of this one.
He's an interesting, personally, I don't know about you two, I would put him into B tier. The only reason being, I think 25 health, he suffers a little bit more with 25 health, but I think the genericness of the other Magnate card makes him a lot easier card to, whereas this one requires action cards that specifically buff your contender.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Because you have to target him with action cards. So it's not like a generic action where you just play an action card, your contender gets stronger. It has to be very specific cards. Whereas...
Yeah, the wording has to be target clash card. Target card, not target clash card. So you are a bit limited. So you need a bit of an understanding of the game. You need a bit of a knowledge of the cards that are out there. I think
even without that, I think just having a 2 attack contender, it does make a difference, especially at the earlier game where you're still trying to set up and you're still trying to get everything sorted. Because all of those things where it's like 1 attack, 2 defense, they're not going to bother attacking your contender because your contender's just going to you're going to lose a health, but the contender's just going to kill him. So I think generically it's still a decent choice, but I think because of his specificness of requiring certain cards, I would put him into B tier because he requires certain ones to buff him to make him work. Whereas the other one is just generic. All alpha cards that you've got get extra defense. There you go. Have fun. There you go.
Yeah. Quite a challenging. Somewhere between ideal second deck or just challenging first deck. So I think that's a good rating. Yeah.
So B. Yeah.
B. Yeah. I think B. I think B is a nice solid place to put him.
Right, okay, this is not going to be in the video. I'm going to edit it out. We're at 50 minutes.
Should we do it to an hour and then say that's part 1?
Yeah.
Well, how many have we done and how many have we got left?
There's 40, and we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
nearly 20.
12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Technically 19.
Not too bad.
So do you want to do a couple more and stop?
Yeah, I think push it to an hour.
Yeah.
So we've got. Do you want to do Kagan and Gearwin?
Yeah, we'll do those 2 and then leave it there. Alright.
Yeah. Maybe War as well, because that'll be an easy one actually. There's War Javelin there as well. That'll be 3rd.
Right. Next one is Kagan.
Now, there's 2 of us that have actually been building Kagan decks, but 2 for different reasons. So we must point out at this point, we probably should have said this towards the beginning, but we must point out that all of the contenders that we've been looking at the moment have been based on PvP only. Just because of the fact that we will probably do a separate video at some point with the idea of looking into them for PvE or different strategies, or there'll be something else down the line. But the only reason I bring this up is because 2 people have built a Kagan deck. Myself was built for PvE only, so I've never tested him in a PvP setting. We've seen him used because we went to it was the Second Awakening at Leaky Teacup, and there was 2 players there that were both using a Kagan deck, and in fairness, they came 3rd and 4th in the overall. I can't remember how many of us. I think it was 13, something like that, and they came 3rd and 4th. So both decks did decently well.
One of them absolutely ruined me. Absolutely destroyed me.
But as a starter point and an easy deck to build, he's just not. He requires very specific cards to make him work. You need to have the Helm, which is a legendary, to make the deck viable, to be able to actually use his main ability, which is to create the dragon, which is a token clash card. So you need at least one. You need at least that legendary in there, but you also need an epic, a rare, and an uncommon of all the weapons to be able to make it work as well. So you require those cards, at least one of each, to make the deck do what it's supposed to do. And I think they're quite hard cards to get. He's a fun contender. He's fun to use. I've thoroughly enjoyed using him when I've used him, even though it's only been in a PvE setting. I've thoroughly enjoyed using him, but he's very difficult to get the cards that you need to get for him.
Quite expensive as well.
Yeah, and a lot of the cards. They did bring out a few other bits. There was another helm that you could get from somewhere. Was that from one of the Clash decks?
It was a promotional. I think it was.
So there is other ways of getting them, but they're still difficult to obtain. And yeah, I would immediately put him into either C or D. I think
C,
because he is still a powerful. It's just hard to.
And he gets cool points. He is a very cool contender.
I'd like to say he's also not a complicated contender to use. Really, he is quite straightforward.
Oh, he's just
in terms of what he actually does, yeah.
I think his effects are actually really, really easy to understand and they're really easy to use. It's just getting the cards needed for him is just too difficult, especially for a starter player. So, I mean, again, I'd agree with C. If you both said C, I think.
Yeah,
I think C is a good solid shout. If you were to get the cards needed for him, he's just a nice contender to use. He's quite generic. He's quite easy. He's a lot of fun. But it's all dependent on the fact that you need those cards.
We are also taking into account that you're building the deck in real life. If you want to use it on Deck Planet, then hard to get cards doesn't really matter. But
if you were just playing on TTS Simulator and on Deck Planet and anything like that, then Kagan's actually a really good shout. If you wanted to play him like that and test him and see how he worked, I think Kagan would actually be a decently strong starter deck.
But building a deck in real life is C.
But actually building it in real life is a lot harder. And so C. I'm quite happy.
All right, Gearwyn. Now I don't have any experience with Gearwyn. I've heard that she's quite powerful.
Against Gearwyn, but I've never played Gearwyn myself.
I know Gearwyn's quite popular at tournament level.
Yeah.
That was one of the more, there was a recent Progena's Gambit, which is kind of your highest level tournament out in the Philippines. I think this did get a fair few users that ended up quite high up in the rankings. Top 8, I think there were 1 or 2, maybe even 3 decks using her. That being said, I have absolutely zilch knowledge of what she actually does. I think she was very briefly broken. I think they found was it like an infinite loop?
Oh yeah, there was an infinite loop with 2 or 3 cards where you could basically continuously buff something for eternity until it could just
hit you for 50-50.
It didn't matter what you did. But that was only for like a week until it was fixed.
Yeah, they fixed that very promptly.
which really well done to them. Fair play. They saw it straight away and was like, nope, that needs fixing. We're going to take that out. But I just think again, it's another one of those decks where I think if you were taking it from a newer player perspective, it's just a hard deck to build.
A very complex
hard deck to build, very complex to understand. I'd be putting this straight into C. I don't necessarily think it's as bad as
D. No.
See, this one's harder, I think, because all 3 of us haven't had that much dealings with. So I wouldn't want to put it into D just based off of the fact that I don't know whether I know enough about the contender to actually say that it's really. But at the same time, it might be. I'd say keep it safe. I would say put it into C. I think C is a good solid option for it. I don't think this is a deck that you should be building towards the beginning. I think it'd probably be a very fun deck to make, and I have seen it played and used very, very well, but only at the highest level and only with very, very specific cards.
Yeah, 20 health. I hate 20 health contenders. So I'm not a fan of starting off so low.
Right.
Yeah.
Last one for this part, because it's going to be multi-part, because I don't want to keep it. No one's got enough time.
Yeah, we'll split it. We'll split it into 2 parts, and we'll do it across.
Last contender for this part is Warface Javelineer, or Javelineer.
See, he's strange because while the other War Contender is an S tier, this one's not going to be anywhere near as close.
He's close. He's more about the BA sort of.
Yeah, the generic cards that War gets is really, really useful, and I think the cards that you are building towards a contender like War you could play Warface Javelineer technically without needing to use any form of javelin and still make him work decently well, just because of the fact that the War minion tokens are strong enough as they are, and the minion generation and the cards are quite fun, and it would still work, but he's just not as good as the other one. And if you wanted to play him properly and play him where you're using the javelins, one, you require the specific javelin cards to make him work, which there is a legendary among them, which as far as I'm aware is
very hard.
Is the reason why you would play this card or play this contender is because of how strong that certain legendary is.
Out of all the legendaries,
God Slayer javelin.
It's very hard because it's from the Siege set.
Oh, is that where you get it from?
Yes.
I was actually not aware of that.
Siege of Forgotten, which is very, very hard to get a legendary because there's not. I mean, it's limited run as well. I don't think there's many places selling them now. Is there?
And now there's still a few at Leaky, but other than that, there's very, very limited runs of them.
I don't think anyone got it in our group in Europe, have we?
I think No Profanity 69 has got one. I believe he has one. I also believe that Fraser has one. So I do think there is a couple. I would put him in B. I think he's as strong. He's like the cards that he would use if you were just using minion tokens and you were just using I think you could still make a decently fun deck while using him. I just don't think that you would actually use his effects that much. You would just use it as a base generic deck. So as far as that contender is concerned, there is no reason that you would pick that one over the other War Contender. He's just a more generic contender that's easier to use and doesn't require specific cards. So this one is fun. He's got a really good concept, but yeah, he's nowhere near as strong as the other one. Just as
out of the 2 War Contenders, this is unlikely to be your pick. But if it is your pick, you're not gonna suffer. You're gonna do okay.
Yeah, you're still going to have fun, and you're still going to be able to play a few bits. And if you manage to get a couple of javelins, then even better. You will be able to use that effect and have more fun. But compared to the 2, there's no contest as to which one is easier to pick up and play.
Alright, B. Well, there we have it for part 1. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's useful. We should hopefully have part 2 not too long after this one.
Yeah, we'll get the rest of them blitzed out, and we'll work out where everyone belongs, and yeah, I think it's been quite fun. In fairness, deep diving into each one of them.
Yeah, part 2. We've got a couple of mine coming up, so then you'll really not shut me up. Got Flair and then
we've already decided you're not invited for the second part. You've been. I see.
If you do feel like you want to make any of these decks, I mean, there's like I said, we've ever mentioned it. Deck Planet is a very good tool for even just like making it so you know what you need to get in real life. It's a very good tool. So I'd recommend having a look over there. But yeah,
if you find deck building generally fun, it's just you'll find yourself spending hours just toying about with things, getting a better understanding for decks, and super fun.
Right. I think that's everything for this time. We'll round the rest of them up in the next video. Like I say, we'll all work together and try and give you the best experience that we can. So, but yeah, thank you very much for watching. I think we've all had a bit of fun. And yeah, we'll continue again next time and get the rest of them all rattled off.
See you later.
Bye.